Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on which time zone life put you in this week. Welcome to today's session. Our webinar today is about cybersecurity innovation and support. And this, of course, is brought to you by Project Spectrum and the Department of War Office of Small Business Programs. My name is Rick. I'm your host. I'll be your guide through this wonderful world of cybersecurity compliance today. So kind of think of me as your GPS for navigating CMMC. I'm going to get you where you need to go, and I promise to only recalculate the route twice. By the way, just so everybody knows, today is February 19th, 2026, which means we're officially past Valentine's Day. So if you did forget to send your IT department a thank you card, I have to say it's a really good idea for keeping your systems running. There's still time. I have heard that chocolates and strong passwords are both excellent gifts for those folks. So just a hint from your friendly neighborhood host here. All right, so as we go through a little bit about me and why I'm standing, well, actually sitting in front of you today, I work with the Project Spectrum outreach team, and they are fantastic folks. And my job is to help businesses like yours make sense of the cybersecurity landscape without needing a PhD in cryptography or a Rosetta Stone for government acronyms. Now, Project Spectrum, you're going to hear all about that in just a second from one of my esteemed colleagues, but we're a Department of War recognized cybersecurity awareness initiative, providing tools, training, and resources that you need to increase your cybersecurity awareness and maintain compliance with DoW contracting requirements. In other words, we're the friend who shows up before the final exam and says, hey, let's study. Except this final is going to determine whether you keep doing business with the federal government. So maybe more like the friend who shows up before the bar exam with flashcards and energy drinks. All right, so we've got a few quick housekeeping items before we get rolling. First, I need you to know that your microphone is muted and your camera is off. This is on purpose. We love hearing from and seeing you, but not the random Amazon delivery, the very needy pet who's going to walk across the keyboard, or the coworker that doesn't realize you're on a webinar and just walked into your office asking about lunch plans or, maybe even fantasy baseball picks. Look, we've all been there. Second, make sure you take a look and see how your name is displayed. If it says iPhone or guest, or my personal favorite from a recent session was mom's laptop, now's a really great time to fix that. We want to know who you are, not what device you borrowed from the family tech shelf. Most importantly, please put your questions in the chat box as they come up. We have folks online to review and answer them as we go along through this webinar. Remember, there are absolutely no dumb questions in cybersecurity. The only dumb thing is not asking and then finding out the hard way. Because trust me, a ransomware attack is a very expensive way to learn that your password shouldn't have been password 123. And one last thing. We are coming to you today from the beautiful state of Maryland, home of Blue Crab's Old Bay Seasoning, one of my favorites, and of course, Project Spectrum headquarters. Maryland is a two-party consent state. So I have to say that when it comes to recordings, you've got to understand this. By staying on this webinar, you are basically giving us your consent to be part of a recorded session, even though your mic's not on and your camera's not on and your name is probably guest or mom's laptop. But just think of it like being in the audience of a live taping of a TV show, except instead of a sitcom, it's cybersecurity, which honestly has just as many plot twists. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, no judgment at all. Feel free to hop off the webinar right now. We'll send you the replay link later. You can either watch it in your pajamas with a cup of coffee, or you could just sort of skim through it. I don't know. It's kind of like the Netflix version of cybersecurity training. All right, we'll give a second. All right, for those of you staying, and we certainly do appreciate you, thanks so much. Buckle up. We've got a great session ahead. All right, so here is the game plan. And yes, it's a packed agenda, more loaded than your Thanksgiving plate at your aunt's house. We're going to start out with who Project Spectrum is and why we exist. Then we're going to take a look at the threat landscape, scarier than a Stephen King novel, but with more phishing emails and fewer clowns. Actually, we might see some clowns. We'll see. From there, we'll break down CMMC, the levels, the data types, and the compliance requirements. We'll serve up enough acronyms to make alphabet soup jealous, and I'll decode pretty much every single one. Then we'll get tactical. We're going to defend against common threats, the human firewall, zero trust architecture. Wow, we got a lot of stuff. Then we're going to map out your compliance journey, those quick wins, the medium-term projects, and the long-term initiatives. And we'll finish with tools, resources, and funding options. Look, we're not just going to tell you what to do and send you into the wilderness. We're going to give you a map, a compass, and maybe even some trail mix and some water. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so this is where I'm going to stop talking for just a very short while, and I'm going to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Kareem Sykes. Kareem is going to tell you all about who Project Spectrum is, what Project Spectrum does, and if you see all those little numbers over on the side, the citation authorities, let me just tell you, for the legal eagles in the audience, they're right there on the screen just in case you need some light bedtime reading. But Kareem, take it away.
I love it, Rick. Thank you very much. You're a scholar and a gentleman and a consummate professional here. Excellent job here with hosting this webinar for Project Spectrum. I want to welcome you all, extend a very warm welcome, frankly. I serve as the Director of Industry and Engagement for Project Spectrum and Echelon. Project Spectrum actually falls under that umbrella. It's truly a privilege to spend this time with you. Again, whether you're a first-time government contractor, an established supplier within the defense industrial base, or an organization exploring opportunities to enter the federal marketplace, you are here for a reason. And that reason is simple. Cybersecurity is no longer an optional deal. It is operational, right? And so with the sort of codification of Title 48 of the Code of Federal Regulations, the CMMC final rule, having gone into effect just over 90 days ago there on November 10th, the compliance conversation has shifted from what is CMC to how do I prepare in a structured, strategic, and sustainable way. This is precisely why Project Spectrum exists. And as Rick alluded to there, Department of War recognized initiatives were actually called out. I want to highlight that we're called out in the FY26 National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA as it were. And our mission is not just about compliance. It's about protecting CUI, strengthening supply chain integrity, enabling small businesses to compete with confidence, and ultimately reduce the risk before it becomes disruption. So again, we want to meet organizations where they are, whether that is the foundational cyber hygiene or preparing for a level 2 credit certification assessment, right? So providing practical, actionable pathways forward. And so what can you expect today? Well, you're going to hear clear, practical, strategically relevant, and immediately useful guidance, right? So that's one of the things, as I've seen these briefings before, people will talk about things, but they talk about them in a way that isn't really actionable or isn't really something that people can walk away with. How do I actually go and do this? How do I actually start on my journey? So the current CMMC landscape is what it truly means for your business. We're going to talk about some misconceptions that continue to circulate, the structured pathway toward readiness, how to leverage no-cost self-assessments, virtual help desk support, and training, some of the no-cost offerings that Project Spectrum provisions. And then we're going to talk, and I'm going to just highlight quickly here some of our extended offerings that are at cost, which involve cyber advisory packages, so that if you find yourself where you need more guidance, more structured hand-holding, if you will, greater attention, a level of granularity in terms of how controls work and how to implement those in your environment, how to have superior advisory services. We have cyber advisor packages that you can leverage in addition to the no-cost resources that we have on our site. Those cyber advisory packages, again, are at cost and are separate from what we offer on our website at projectspectrum.io. So if that's something that you're interested in, I want you to send me an email at support@projectspectrum.io. Mark, my colleague, will drop that email in the chat. Again, support@projectspectrum.io is how you'll reach out to us for the at-cost offerings where our cyber advisors we can talk to you more about how that can help you get towards certification. So a strategic mindset shift. Cyber compliance should not be viewed as a regulatory burden. It should be viewed as a competitive differentiator. Organizations can proactively align to structured cybersecurity standards that are signaling to primes, agencies, and partners that they are secure, resilient, and reliable. And so consistent with what you see on your screen, this does link back to homeland security and national security priorities, right? Ultimately, we secure the supply chain. We secure the way in which we're processing, storing, and or transmitting CUI to FCI. That ultimately secures the way in which we can go about provisioning products to ultimately to our warfighter. And so with that, I want to welcome you once again. And Rick, I'm going to kick it back over to you. But again, I want to thank you all for investing your time and attention to perhaps the most important subject matter relative to eligibility for contracting opportunities within the defense industrial base. So again, with that, I'll kick it back over to you, Rick. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kareem. We appreciate you as always. And, calling me a gentleman and a scholar, hey, I will take compliments all day long. There's even some people dropping compliments in the chat. I love that. So by all means, please do. I'm hoping one of my bosses sees that. All right. So now let's talk about why all this matters. Here we go. Not in a this might affect you someday kind of way, but in a your house is actively on fire and we need to discuss fire extinguishers kind of way. Look, you got to understand something. Right now, the defense industrial base is under attack. SMBs, they are on the front line. Let me hit you with some numbers. 43% of all cyber attacks target SMBs, not the Lockheeds, not the Raytheons, you. If you think you're too small to be a target, that's exactly what the threat actors are hoping you'll think. 74% of those breaches are caused right between the chair and the keyboard by a person. Human error, not a technology failure, a people failure. Somebody clicked on a bad link, someone used a weak password, or someone left the digital front door wide open with a sign that says, come on in and take whatever you can carry. Only 14% of SMBs actually have plans to mitigate attacks. Can you believe that? That's 86% going skydiving without first making sure the parachute would actually open. The cost of an SMB cyber attack, wow, $826, that's really, really low. $653,000, that's kind of the average. Anything from ruining your weekend to ruining your decade. And then only 17% actually have the proper cyber insurance. Flo is not going to come out of the woodwork with Jamie and help you on this one. No. They don't do that kind of stuff. They're the ones that handle car insurance, but let me just say, not having the proper cyber insurance, it's like driving without a seatbelt and without car insurance. So let's not do that. So why are SMBs targeted? Look, we've got a whole list here. Your intellectual property, your dual use technologies, your access to sensitive government info, to go on and on and on. Listen, to a threat actor, you're not a small fish. You are a gateway. They're using you as a stepping stone. It's like a rhinoceros using a mud wallow. They're not using it for the scenery. They're there because it gets them where they want to go. And, playing in mud is kind of fun, especially if you're a rhinoceros. All right, so let me drill down on why cyber criminals love targeting SMBs, because this is where the light bulb moment happens. First, you've got your supply chain access points. Look, the attackers see SMBs as stepping stones to larger targets. They can't break through the front door of the castle, so they find the unlocked window in the garden shed. Compromise one vendor, it accesses the entire network. It's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, except instead of Kevin Bacon, it's a threat actor from overseas, and nobody's winning any awards. Second, your intellectual property value, your designs, your processes, your innovations all hold significant value on the black market. Someone out there would love to skip the R&D and just take your homework. And unlike in school, there's no teacher to catch them. Third, you've got limited in-house cybersecurity resources. Look, we get it. Most SMBs don't have a dedicated security team. A lot of SMBs don't have dedicated teams. It's like 2 or 3 people. Your focus is rightly on production and delivery, but that sometimes leaves doors open. It's not a character flaw, it's a resource constraint. And that's exactly what Project Spectrum is here to help with. So let's put faces on these threats. 5 things on your radar. You've got phishing and social engineering. Look, one bad email can trigger a serious breach. If an email feels off, trust your gut, report it, delete it, don't click on it, don't open it. Look, the Nigerian prince, he still isn't real. Sorry. Ransomware doesn't just lock data, it halts assembly lines, missed deadlines, lost revenue, angry customers. It's like someone put a padlock on your entire business and is charging you a fee for the key, except the key might not even really work, or it's going to lead to another padlock. Supply chain vulnerabilities. Your house may be in order, but if your vendor's house is on fire, sparks are flying your way. Then you've got IP theft. Losing your competitive edge isn't something you bounce back from quickly. Not at all, or sometimes not at all. Then you've got operational disruption, equipment malfunctions, compliance violations, customer trust is just absolutely eroded. It's the gift that keeps on giving, except nobody asked for it and you can't return it. This isn't Amazon. Look, here's the bottom line on all this. The threat landscape in 3 words. 3 words is real, expensive, and personal. Whether it's phishing, ransomware, or supply chain attacks, the common denominator is that SMBs are squarely in the crosshairs. You're not too small to matter. You're small enough to be vulnerable, and that is a big difference. All right. Now that I've sufficiently terrified you, and you're welcome, let's talk about what we're going to do about it. That's where CMMC comes in, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. This is the framework that defines how defense contractors prove they can protect sensitive information. Whether you're excited about it or dreading it, it's here, it's real, and it's not going away. So let's break it down in a way that makes sense. No jargon soup, no death by PowerPoint, just clear, actionable information that we hope you can use. So CMMC has 3 levels. It's like floors in a building. Which one you need depends on your data. Level 1 is foundational. This is for businesses handling federal contract information, or FCI. It's 15 requirements aligned with the FAR clause. It's annual self-assessment plus affirmation. This is the basic home security. Your locks on your doors, your lights on your timers, the essentials. Level 2 is your advanced level for businesses handling controlled unclassified information, otherwise known as CUI. 110 requirements aligned with NIST SP 800-171, Revision 2. You need an assessment by a certified third-party assessment organization, or my favorite acronym, C3PAO, which sounds like a droid from Star Wars, but isn't, or a self-assessment every 3 years, plus your annual affirmation. Look, this is the full security system. You've got cameras, motion sensors, alarm monitoring, the works. You've got level 3, which is the expert. This is the boss level. 134 requirements for national security programs and high-value assets. You've got that DIBCAC assessment every 3 years. And if you don't know what DIBCAC stands for, it's almost like EPICAC. It makes you want to rich. This is Fort Knox. If your data needs this level, you already know. Good news. Most of you are looking at level 1 or level 2. We're going to spend the bulk of today there, I promise. So before you pick your level, you need to know what your data is. That's where a lot of folks get tripped up. We talked about FCI. This is governed by a FAR clause. It's sensitive but not classified information provided by or generated for the government under a contract. So think contract docs, org charts, RFP responses. It's all important. It needs protection, but it's not the nuclear launch codes. Then you've got CUI. This is governed by a DFARS clause. It's a broader category regarding safeguarding controls under federal law. Proprietary business info, classified technical info, FOUO, law enforcement sensitive, all that kind of stuff. This is higher stake stuff. My favorite analogy, FCI is like the team playbook. You don't want your opponents to see it, but guess what? The game goes on. They're going to figure it out anyway. CUI is like the Colonel Sanders secret recipe. You got to protect that stuff with your life. Simple math. FCI means level 1. CUI means level 2. Understanding your data tells you your destination. Everything else is the journey to get there. Don't overcomplicate it. Look at your contracts, figure out what data you're touching, and the path becomes clear. And if you're sitting there thinking, I have no idea what kind of data we handle, that's literally why Project Spectrum exists. Like I said, it's all about knowing your data. If you're not sure, contact us. That's what we're here for. Here's your wake-up call. CMMC has landed. It's not coming someday. It's not in development. It's actually here. The DFARS rule went live in the Federal Register on September 10th of last year. Not this September 10th, last September 10th. Then phase 1 actually began on November 10th last year, 2025. It's 2026, remember. Hopefully you're not still writing that on your checks. That was 3 months ago. The train, it's left the station. Why does this matter? 2 reasons. First, adhering to cybersecurity standards is now non-negotiable. It's not a suggestion. It's not a requirement. It's not a suggestion. It is a requirement. Second, companies that are compliant are companies that win contracts. Like Kareem said, it's that simple. It's a business advantage for you. 3 things to do right now. You need to assess your current posture. You need to develop a compliance strategy, and you need to stay informed. The early compliant company gets the contract. CMMC compliance is like a rhinoceros charging at you. You can see it coming. It's big, it's loud, and standing still is not a strategy. Get moving now. In future you is going to write you later and say thanks. Now, the rollout for CMMC is actually phased over 3 years. I know a whole bunch of people just lost a whole lot of sleep or a whole lot of lunch or breakfast. Phase 1, which is year 1, which is right now, covers limited contracts selected by the CMMC program office. Think of this as pilot season. Not every contract has CMMC requirements yet, but the ones that do are already out there. You got phase 2, which are years 2 and 3. This is going to bring broader integration across most DOW programs. This is where the wave is really going to start to hit. Phase 3 is year 4 and beyond, full implementation. No exceptions, no extensions, no we'll get to it next quarter. By 2028, every contractor processing FCI or CUI must maintain an active CMMC certification or self-assessment in SPURS. That's not a prediction, that's the rule. So if you're thinking about waiting until the last minute, don't. This is like filing your taxes on April 14th. Getting compliant takes time. It takes planning. It takes sustained effort. So you want to make sure you start now, because guess what? The businesses that start now will be sitting comfortably when phase 3 rolls around. The ones who wait will be scrambling, and you do not want to be the scrambler. Now, we've covered the why and we've covered the what. It's time to get into the how. How do we actually defend against these threats? This next section is where the rubber meets the road, as they say. We're going to talk about practical, actionable things you and your team can start doing today. Not next month, not next quarter, but actually today to improve your cybersecurity posture. And I promise, none of this requires a computer science degree. If you can remember to lock your front door when you leave the house, you can do this. The most important security asset your organization has isn't your firewall or your antivirus. It's your people. Remember, human error is the #1 cause of breaches. That 74% number, remember? The concept of the human firewall is simple. While firewalls protect networks, humans protect organizations. The most expensive, sophisticated security system in the world is useless if someone holds the door open for a stranger. And in the digital world, that holding the door open happens every day through weak passwords, clicking suspicious links, unsafe downloads, and unsecured Wi-Fi. Connecting to a free coffee shop Wi-Fi without a VPN is like having a private conversation in a crowded elevator. Guess what? Everyone else can hear you, and we now know what your doctor said, and we feel bad for you. But the same humans who create vulnerabilities can actually be your strongest defense through simple and resilient actions. Strong passwords, MFA, recognizing phishing, and good device hygiene. You don't need $1 billion budget. You need aware, trained, and vigilant people. Key 1 is password power. CISA gives us 3 rules, and they're beautifully simple. Make them long, at least 16 characters. Fluffy is not a password. My fluffy cat ate 16 tacos on Tuesday, ! With capital letters mixed in all over the place. Now we're getting somewhere. Make them random. Mixed case letters, numbers, symbols, passphrases work great. Something like correct horse battery staple is long and sort of memorable. Just don't use that exact one because everyone on the internet has seen that comic. Make them unique. Never reuse across accounts. You're starting to look. Yes, I'm talking to you, and you know who I'm talking to. One key for your house, car, office, and safe deposit box. That's how you have to look at that. If someone gets it, they get everything you own. Pro tip, use a password manager. One master key to rule them all. And please stop saving passwords in a file called passwords.txt. I've seen it happen. Just stop. Just stop. Key 2, MFA. If strong passwords are the deadbolt, MFA is the security camera and the alarm system combined. You see, MFA requires at least 2 of 3 things. Something you know, which is a password, something you have, which is an authenticator app, and something you are, which is a fingerprint or a face scan. Think of it like getting into a VIP club. First, you've got the secret word, that's your password. Then you've got to show your ID, that's your authentication app. And then even if someone overhears the word, they can't get in without your ID. Microsoft reports that MFA blocks 99.9% of automated attacks. If there were a pill that prevented 99.9% of car accidents, you'd take it. You'd take it every single day. It doesn't matter how big it is, doesn't matter how bad it tastes. MFA is that pill for cybersecurity. Turn it on everywhere, today, now. This is the single highest impact, lowest effort security improvement you can make. You want to feed the beast of good security practice. MFA is the meal. Serve it up generously. Key 3 is spotting phishing. Now, according to IBM, phishing remains the top attack method. Threat actors pose as trusted contacts to lure victims into handing over sensitive info or network access. CISA found the most successful phishing emails use subjects like financial security alerts, organization-wide announcements, and training updates. The pattern? They all create urgency. They want you to react before you think. If an email makes you feel like you need to click right now, that's exactly when you should slow down. If your bank asks you to click a link, close the email and go directly to the bank's website. If your CEO emails asking for gift cards, and yes, this actually happens, pick up the phone and call them. 3 seconds of verification can save you thousands of dollars and lots of frustration. CISA's 4-part defense against phishing. All right. You need to block attempts at the network level. Email server verification, threat intelligence and firewall rules, blocking known malicious domains. Look, build the moat. Educate employees. Train your personnel to recognize suspicious addresses, generic greetings, spoofed hyperlinks, and those suspicious attachments. And stress the importance of limiting personal info on social media. That LinkedIn vacation post, guess what? A threat actor might use it to send a travel expense report while you're out of the office. Report immediately. Every reported phish is intelligence your security team can use. It's like seeing a pothole or a police officer on the side of the road looking for speeders and reporting it through your app. You're helping everyone who drives that road after you. And hopefully the police officer didn't pull out and start following you. Protect the network. Enforce MFA. Restrict password sharing. Add endpoint protection. Defense in depth. Layers upon layers upon layers. Think of phishing like a rhinoceros in a china shop. It's big, it's obvious once you know what to look for, and if you don't get out of its way, it's going to do some serious damage. Train your team to spot the rhinoceros before it starts breaking things. Key 4 is safe device practices. Cyber hygiene, just like regular hygiene, if you skip it, things are going to get ugly and smelly fast. Install OS updates promptly. Look, they patch known vulnerabilities. An important note, Microsoft stopped supporting Windows 10 after October 14th, 2025. If you're still running it, you're driving a car the manufacturer has completely abandoned. There are no safety recalls, no protection. Good luck. Upgrade to Windows 11 this week or now. Well, not now because you're in this webinar, but maybe right after. Lock your screen every time you step away from your computer. Windows L or Command Control Q, 2 seconds. An unlocked computer is like leaving your wallet on a park bench, wide open with cash and credit cards, your PIN number, the whole 9 yards. Keep your applications patched, your web browsers, your PDF readers, your productivity software. How many times you've been on a team meeting where somebody shares their screen and you see that Google Chrome, an update needs to be installed? You're just asking for trouble. Stop doing that. Every unpatched vulnerability is a sign on your door that says the key is under the mat. Come on in. Give the dog a steak. He'll leave you alone. The human firewall is built on these 4 keys. Again, strong passwords, MFA, phishing awareness, and device hygiene. These aren't exotic, expensive technologies. They're habits, digital habits that, if practiced daily, create a culture of security that no hacker can easily penetrate. Your people are your greatest asset and your greatest vulnerability, so train them to be the asset instead of the vulnerability. Now, let's level up. Zero trust architecture, 5 words. Never trust, always verify, always. There you go, 5. Traditional security was a castle with a moat. Once you got past the moat, you were trusted. Problem is, once someone sneaks in, they have free run of the castle. Zero trust says, forget the moat. Every room has its own lock. Every person needs their own key, and we check IDs at every door. 4 principles: least privilege, minimum access necessary, nothing more. You don't give the intern the master key to every room in the building. Continuous verification. It's not just at login, but at every access attempt. It's like a bouncer who checks your ID every time you walk back into the club, even if you just stepped outside for a minute because there really was no cell service in there. Network segmentation, watertight compartments on a ship, so one breach doesn't sink everything. And continuous monitoring, because guess what? You can't defend what you can't see. Zero trust isn't about distrust. It's not about distrusting your employees. It's about building a system that's resilient when, not if, when something goes wrong. Zero trust in a nutshell is check everything, trust nothing by default, and build your network like a submarine. It's watertight with compartments that keep the whole vessel afloat even if one section floods. It's not paranoia, it's simple architecture. Now, we've talked about the threats and the defenses. Let's map out the journey. This is your compliance journey. Getting to CMMC compliance isn't something that happens overnight. Believe me, people have tried and they've all failed. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But every journey starts with a single step. I forget who said that. But the steps we're about to cover, they're designed to get you moving in the right direction. Think of this like training for a marathon. You're not going to go from being a couch potato to running 26.2 miles in just a week. You build up, you have a plan, and along the way, you hit milestones that let you know you're on track. So here's your compliance roadmap, turn-by-turn directions. Step 1, you need to identify your target CMMC level. Remember, FCI equals level 1, CUI equals level 2. Know your destination before you start driving. Step 2, assess your current posture. Project Spectrum is here to help offer readiness assessments. We want you to know your starting line. You need to know where you are in order to know how far you need to go. Step 3 is gap analysis. Compare where you are to where you need to be. Missing controls, outdated processes, weak configurations, missing documentation. You're going to find them, you're going to document them, you're going to prioritize them. It's not glamorous, we know that, but it's essential. You can't fix what you don't know isn't broken or is broken or something like that. Step 4, you're going to create a remediation plan. Organize fixes into phases aligned with your budget. Quick wins first. Policy updates, training refreshers. Then start going for the medium-term stuff, your MFA rollout, your asset inventory. Then your long-term stuff, your SIEM deployment, your network segmentation. All of this is going to happen. It's going to happen in phases. Step 5, the one most people forget, integrate compliance into your operations. Look, CMMC is not one and done. It's like dental hygiene. You don't visit the dentist once and then declare your teeth finished forever. You've got to brush every day. You got to floss. Okay, you're supposed to floss. Some of us do, some of us don't, some of us try. Make compliance part of how you operate, not something you panic about once a year. You've got to feed the beast consistently. Every little bit, every day helps keep you compliant and helps keep the auditors happy. Starve compliance of attention and it withers. Feed it regularly and it becomes second nature. Again, 5 steps. Know your level, assess your posture, find the gaps, build a phase plan, and embed it in daily operations. The roadmap isn't complicated, it's methodical. The businesses that treat compliance as a daily habit rather than an annual fire drill are the ones who are sleeping a lot better at night. Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts of the CMMC Level 1 assessment process. For those handling FCI, this is your playbook. Any organization required by contract to handle FCI data must attain a minimum of CMMC Level 1 compliance. This requires performing a self-assessment followed by an annual affirmation. The good news is Project Spectrum offers cybersecurity self-assessment tools. You'll find them under the Useful Tools section at projectspectrum.io. After completing your self-assessment, your organization receives what's known as your SPURS score. That score gets uploaded into the SPURS module within PIEE. I know that's a lot of acronyms. If you're keeping score at home, we've used CMMC, FCI, SPURS, PIEE, SSP, and POAM all in one section. Yeah, I think I just won acronym bingo. Let me walk you through the SPURS submission process step by step. And again, this is the supplier risk management system. This is where the rubber meets the road. You need to confirm your prerequisites as step 1. Before you can even open a SPURS record, 3 things need to be in place. You've got to have a CAGE code. That's a commercial and government entity code, a PIEE user account, and a completed CMMC self-assessment or third-party assessment package. Don't skip ahead. Make sure these boxes are checked first. You wouldn't show up to the DMV without your documents. Same principle, except with more acronyms and less waiting in line, really. Step 2 is gather your evidence. Create final documentation packages. SPURS only accepts results from a finished assessment. Don't initiate a record until your self-assessment is complete and all your artifacts are in final form. You'll need a formally approved system security plan, that's SSP, plus any plans of actions and milestones, which are POAMs, not poems, those rhyme, for residential deficiencies. Okay, not all poems rhyme, I know that. Step 3 is determine whether a new SPURS entry is required. Remember, SPURS tracks results at the CAGE code level. Your first time submitting for a particular information system tied to your CAGE, that's a new record. If you've got the same CAGE code and an identical environment already assessed, you can update the existing record. Think of it like your medical chart. First visit, new file. Follow-up visit, update the chart. You don't want to go through all of that testing again. Step 4, you're going to log into PIEE and launch SPURS, okay? With your documentation ready, log into PIEE and select SPURS from the menu, confirm multi-factor authentication, see how MFA keeps showing up, and select assessment entry from the landing page. You got that? You got that? Good. Okay. Step 5, which we're going to see on the next slide, you're going to enter the core assessment data. You'll be prompted for your CAGE code, assessment type, and your assessment date. For CMMC Level 1, the scoring is refreshingly simple. It's binary. Requirements met or not met, 15 controls, yes or no. That's it. No sliding scale, no partial credit. You either locked the door or you didn't. Then you've got step 6, which is affirm continuous compliance. Look, SPURS has an affirmation section that serves as your legal attestation that the organization remains in continuous compliance with 32 CFR Part 170. Whew. Check the box. Type your electronic signature. Look, this is all serious stuff. You're putting your name on the line. Treat it with the gravity that it deserves, okay? Step 7, which you're going to see on the next slide, is upload or reference supporting artifacts. You don't have to upload entire SSPs or evidence sets, but you must identify where evidence is stored and make it available to DOW on request. Think of it like your tax records. You don't send everything to the IRS, but you better have it ready if they ask. Understood? Yes, you do. Step 8. Review and finalize your submission. Review all your fields. Click submit, and SPURS generates a confirmation page with a unique submission ID. A best practice, and I mean this, PDF that confirmation page, archive it with your assessment package. This is your receipt. At this point, your record is visible to DOW program offices and contracting officers. It's out there for the world to see. Well, the DOW world anyway, which honestly might be the only audience that really matters. You don't really want everybody else seeing this. Step 9 is annual maintenance, self-assessments. They must be re-performed and re-uploaded at least every 12 months. If your security posture changes, new enclave, your merged systems, your technology overhaul, you need to update sooner. Step 10 is record retention and audit readiness. Store everything. Your confirmation PDF, your SSP, your POAMs, your supporting artifacts. Make sure they're all in a secure repository for the contract duration, plus any mandated retention period. Auditors want to see not just the evidence, but they want proof of a timely submission. Maintaining chain of custody ensures a clean audit trail. All right, I know that was a lot. Go ahead and take a quick breath. The good news is, once you've done it once, the annual updates, they get much easier. The hardest part is the first lap. So your 10 steps from prerequisites to audit readiness. Sounds like a lot, but it's essentially get your ducks in a row, log in, answer honestly, sign your name, save the receipt, and keep doing it every year. That's it. The SPURS process is less climbing Everest and more assembling IKEA furniture, but the instructions are actually written clearly. Just follow the instructions, don't skip the steps, and you'll get there. And trust me, we all know about skipping the steps. We all try it, and then we have to take the silly thing apart when you find pieces left over after, and you can't really put anything on it. Now, let me go ahead and shift gears and give you something you can act on right now. Not next month, not next quarter, actually today. Enable MFA everywhere. We've beaten this drum. I'm going to keep beating it. If you do nothing else after this webinar, how about doing MFA? Believe me, I know it gets annoying. I hate when I have to keep putting in the little number from the authenticator app from my phone, and it does it like several times a week. But guess what? I'm really happy when nobody else can send emails as me or send emails to me that I don't want them to send. Update and enforce strong password policies. If your company's password policy hasn't been updated since 2019, I hate to say that it's time. If it hasn't been updated since last year, it's probably time to update it again, because there are always new best practices. Conduct security awareness training. Remember, 74% of breaches come from human error. Training attacks that 74% head on. You don't want to be one of the 74%. Stop thinking that your boss is asking for Target gift cards. Stop thinking that a prince from another country wants to send you money and you need to click on a link and give the bank account information. Please, please, please don't do that. Encrypt laptops and mobile devices. Look, a lost laptop is a bad day. A lost unencrypted laptop with FCI or CUI on it, that is a catastrophically bad day. That's like, the whole Jurassic Park, you're about to get stepped on by a T-Rex kind of day. 4 things this week. Let's go. Beyond the quick wins, here are the medium-term projects that really strengthen your posture. You've got implement endpoint detection and response. This is called EDR. If antivirus is the security guard at the front door, EDR is the detective walking the halls looking for anything unusual. Establish centralized log management with an SIEM tool. When something goes wrong, and eventually it will, you want to look at the tape and see exactly what happened. Harden your system configurations, disable the unused services, apply least privileges, and patch regularly. Every unnecessary service is another potential door for an attacker. Close those doors you're not using. Document all security policies and procedures, policies from the backbone of your SSP. If it's not written down, it doesn't exist, at least not as far as an auditor is concerned. Make sure that all of those policies are in your SSP. for the long game, the long-term initiatives that keep you compliant for years. You got network segmentation for CUI systems. Look, remember that ship analogy I used just a few minutes ago? Watertight compartments, one section floods, the rest stays dry. This is what that is. Continuous vulnerability scanning, weekly or monthly automated scans with real-time alerts. Don't wait until the check engine light turns off on its own. You check on it. When it comes on, you freak out, you go to AutoZone, they plug that little thing in there, they tell you what's wrong, and then they try to sell you a whole bunch of stuff until you actually go to your mechanic. But look, just get the alerts. You've got advanced incident response plans with tabletop exercises. When a breach happens, and I say when intentionally because when, not if, you don't want to figure out the plan in the middle of the crisis. Think of it like a fire drill. You practice so everyone knows what to do when the real thing happens. And when you think it's silly, but then all of a sudden everybody panics when there is a real fire, you say, why didn't we have more fire drills? Regular internal and external audits, quarterly internal reviews, annual external pre-assessments. Make sure it happens. Compliance is a living, breathing thing. You have to feed the beast. Regular training, continuous monitoring, updated documentation. Starve it and it dies. Keep it fed and it protects you. Again, these are quick wins for today, medium-term projects for this quarter, long-term initiatives for this year and beyond. The compliance timeline is a ladder. Each rung you climb builds on the last. The businesses that treat this as a phased investment rather than a one-time expense are the ones who thrive in the defense contracting world. Keep that in mind. Now, here's the part most compliance presentations skip: the culture. CMMC, it's not a side project. It can't be. Or that thing that IT does. It has to be a part of who you are. So you need a few things to help this along. Leadership commitment. Without executive support, compliance loses momentum faster than a New Year's resolution in February. If the boss doesn't care, nobody else will either. So the boss needs to care. Cross-department collaboration. HR, legal, operations, all need to have roles. It's not just IT. To use an old saying, it takes a village to protect a network. Ongoing training and awareness. Make it part of onboarding and annual refreshers. One training session is not enough. You wouldn't stop teaching safety protocols on a factory floor after one lesson. It's the same kind of principle. And then link compliance to business goals. Tie that CMMC readiness to revenue targets, to contract wins, and to risk reduction. When people understand compliance directly impacts the bottom line, motivation naturally follows. So let me address the three elephants in the room, or should I call them the three rhinoceroses, because I'm on a rhino kick today. Because these aren't small, quiet concerns. They're big, they're charging, they're hard to ignore realities. First of all, it's too expensive. Look, CMMC isn't a discretionary cost anymore. It's a cost of market entry. When you factor in the ROI from winning contracts and avoiding breach costs, compliance is an investment with predictable returns. The earlier you invest, the longer you benefit. It's like buying a house versus renting. The upfront cost is higher, but you're building equity every day. We don't handle CUI. Guess what? Many organizations handle CUI without even realizing it, especially in subcontracts. Even if you don't today, CMMC readiness future-proofs your business and keeps the doors open to higher value work. We're too small. 43% of attacks target small businesses. Being small doesn't make you invisible. It might make you a more attractive target. Look, a rhinoceros doesn't care how big you are. It'll charge you just the same. You're smaller than it, and it's still going to ram into you. Best to have your defenses up. These are real concerns shaped by limited time, budgets, and resources. I can respect that. We all can respect that. But the risk of an action is greater than the cost of action every single time. These three objections are three realities. Compliance is an investment, not an expense. You might handle CUI without even knowing it, and small doesn't mean safe. Every one of these objections is understandable. Every one of them has a clear counter. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the compliant. So the key takeaways on scoping. CMMC scoping defines your assessment boundary. Every asset that processes, stores, or transmits FCI or CUI is in scope. If it touches the data, it's in the game. The out-of-scope systems must remain isolated. Specialized assets are excluded from self-assessment but must be documented. Scoping covers more than technology. People, facilities, and service providers are all in play. And you need to make sure you're maintaining your scope through annual affirmations and strong documentation. Now, before we wrap, I want to point you to some key resources. You've got Spurs. This is where your scores live. And there's the link. You're going to get this PowerPoint later on. Oh, you're also going to see a link in the chat to a survey. My colleague Mark is going to put that in there. Please make sure you take the survey. I want to remind you of that. And please be nice to your host. DoD CUI Registry. This is your reference for all CUI categories and markings. You've got your cyber accreditation body. This is where you find those C3PAOs, your RPOs, and CMMC guidance. Then you've got NIST 800-171 resources. Bookmark that one. You're going to be visiting it often, unfortunately. Now, here's something that a lot of manufacturers don't realize. There may be financial assistance to offset the cost of CMMC readiness. You've got your local MEP center. That's the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. They often offer subsidized gap assessments, workshops, and CMMC consulting. You can find yours at that link. Some states offer grant matching, tax credits, or funding for security upgrades. Check with your state's Economic Development Office. And in some cases, guess what? Those large DoD prime contractors, they might cover a portion of your compliance costs through flow-down support, especially for sole source or niche suppliers. It doesn't happen every day, but it's certainly worth the conversation. The bottom line is, don't assume you have to fund all this on your own. Help is out there. You need to go find it. And of course, Project Spectrum is here. We've got your back. A full suite of resources. On the assessment side, you've got SSP and POAM templates. You've got the self-assessment toolkit. You've got the cyber readiness dashboard. You've got the SPURS score generation and uploads and remediation plan templates. And then, as Kareem was talking about, you also have one-on-one cyber advisory services, actual humans who will talk you through this and walk you through this. So contact us about that. On the education side, cybersecurity training, blogs, news, and briefings like this one. Everything is practicable, actionable, and geared towards small and medium businesses and other businesses too. We're not trying to sell you $1 million enterprise solution. We're trying to give you what you need to get compliant and stay compliant. And you know what? Most of it is free. Not a trial period, not a limited time offer, just free. In my experience, free is most people's favorite price. It's like finding out the most important tool in your toolbox was already there the whole time. You've got to feed the beast of compliance, and Project Spectrum is handing you the food. All you have to do is show up and use it. Between government platforms, financial assistance programs, MEP centers, and Project Spectrum's tools, you have a whole ecosystem of support. The days of going it alone in cybersecurity are over. Use the resources. They exist exactly for this reason. Now, hopefully you have been adding your questions in as we've been going along through this webinar in the chat. Hopefully those questions have been answered. If you drop questions in the chat, we are working through those. If you're holding back, now's your moment to get them in. Speak now before we close the chat at the end of the webinar, or again, you can contact us at Project Spectrum. I'm going to tell you how to do that in just a minute. Remember, the only question that we can't answer actually just involves the ex-boyfriends Taylor Swift is singing about in all those songs, because, sadly, those are classified. So before we go, let's make sure everyone's connected and plugged in with Project Spectrum. Our main website, projectspectrum.io. This is everything we discussed and more. Support at projectspectrum.io. Kareem mentioned this earlier. This is an email where you write and real humans respond. Send us questions, a real person gets back to you, and we give you information. You can also follow us on YouTube and LinkedIn for updates, tips, new content, and even replays of webinars like this one. Then you can check the website for upcoming training webinars, regular sessions, again, just like this. We like to put them in there. And don't forget about our virtual help desk. See that little orange question mark in the bottom right corner of projectspectrum.io? You click on that thing, you're going to chat directly with the cyber advisor. It's like tech support on speed dial, except instead of asking, have you tried turning it off and on again, they actually do help you solve real problems, although they may ask that just to be funny. And you know what? Just like that, 55 minutes have gone by quickly, and we are ready to wrap this up. Look, we've covered threat landscapes, CMMC levels, FCI, CUI, SPURS submissions, the human firewall, zero trust, and enough acronyms to fill a government dictionary. 3 things to take away from today. 1, know your data and the compliance level you need. 2, start now. Even with just the quick wins, every step forward is a step forward. It's a step toward compliance. 3, you're not alone. Project Spectrum, MEP centers, you've got a whole ecosystem here to help you. Cybersecurity isn't just about data. It's about protecting your business, your people, your reputation, and our national security. That's really something worth investing in. I want to make sure that you understand that it is not about being dramatic when we're talking about protecting national security. One link in the supply chain goes down and things start to crumble quickly. You need to stay safe, stay compliant, and remember, in the wild, even the rhinoceros has thick skin and stays alert. Be the rhinoceros, not the gazelle. Protect your herd. The only thing you should be getting hacked this week is your golf swing, not your network. Want to say thank you to the Project Spectrum team, Mark, the communications lead extraordinaire, all the folks behind the scenes answering your questions using language that you can actually understand, and probably way less dad jokes than I was using. Understand this. It is great. It is great, great, great stuff. Remember, Mark is going to drop that link to the survey in the chat, so please make sure you take that survey. We'd love to find out what you think. Even if it's something not so nice about me, I take criticism no matter what. And again, like I said, make sure you're protecting your herd. Stay safe. Don't be the gazelle, be the rhinoceros. It's 2026. It's February 2026. AI is writing emails. Cars are driving themselves. And yet my teenage sons still can't remember to lock the front door. Look, if a 14-year-old can't master physical security, imagine what a threat actor can do with your unlocked network. So go home, feed the beast, and enable MFA, update your passwords, and hug your IT person. Figuratively, not literally, because, human resources, they deserve it. Thanks, everyone. It's been a pleasure talking with you again today. Thanks again for joining us. Stay cyber safe out there and have a great rest of your day.